mark on academics. Can't ride no way.
I feel like I was going to go on a tangent too quickly. Let me actually pull up the media list. So, Complex put out their list. I'm going to be honest with you and truthfully, and y'all could tell me if this was disrespect. I had no fucking idea the list was coming out. I had no idea. Well, I figured I was going to be on the list. But I had, like, nobody gave me a heads up. Nobody was like, yo, Ak, you want to get an interview? Yo, Ak, you want to send in some new pictures? Nothing. You know how I found out? I'm on just Instagram. And like an old friend of mine just DM me and say, hey, congratulations. And I'm like, for what? Now it's a girl who DM me. So I'm thinking, when girls say congratulations, they're almost like saying you got a baby or something like that, or a bitch. I'm like, what? Wait, what? And I'm like, why you congratulating me? They said, you number one. And I'm like, number one in what? And then they sent me the link. I was like, oh. So, I was listening to Joe, like last year talk about how like Complex, like, hit him up and was like, did a little interview with him. Man, nigga, I never knew this shit was that. I never knew I was on this list till this list came out, bro. Anyway, let me see if I can find it. Media list. Here we go. So it's a power ranking, and it's the hip hop. it's the hip hop. Let me make sure I get this straight. The hip hop media power ranking list of 2024. They're saying this is the annual list of media power rankings that reflects which personalities dominated the past year. Now, I have to kind of like, once again, at least read their criteria, because with any list, if you don't consider their criteria, you go off what you think should happen, you're going to be fucked up. So they said last year we published our inaugural hip hop media power ranking. Joe Budden took the top spot. Fierce commentary ensued from both on and off the list. Life moved on. The hip hop media ecosystem continued its relentless churn. But then in late March, the sudden release of the incendiary Kendrick Lamar song, incendiary Kendrick Lamar verse on a song from Metro and Future called Like That brought a simmering megastar beef to full boil. Many back and forth followed, and the Drake-Kendrick Lamar war took our timelines hostage. It hasn't been let go since. The ongoing beef stimulus has provided endless fodder for hip-hop media. Those who leaned into his hardest benefited greatly, while some stayed out of the fray lost ground. The 2024 hip-hop media ranking reflects the shifts that have resulted as the smoke of the battle is cleared. There are 7 newcomers who weren't ranked at all, plus a new name at number 1. As with previous lists, the ranking below reflects the current moment, not the entirety of one's career. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. So it reflects the current moment, not the entirety of one's career. We ranked each media personality based on their impact in the space since the release of our inaugural list in 2023. Complex employees and hosts were not eligible for inclusion. Let the debates begin. Now, because I want to give my opinion on the list overall. Actually, no. Should I start at number 1 or 25? You tell me. Should I start at number 1 or number 25? Now, I'm looking at y'all comments. 25? Okay, we'll start at 25. All right, so 25 was gifted to Gay P. Gay P, if you don't know, is, I believe, the owner, but also the host of the platform On The Radar. Now, On The Radar is actually a pretty dope platform. It's a platform that, at this point, it's the East Coast version of what the LA Leakers freestyle is, but it's a lot more than that. It's a place for new discovery. It's this place that's been pushing the envelope, and It's one of the dopest places you could see new upcoming talent showcase their talent more than just an interview or, sometimes, these days when it comes to media, people have to showcase personality and music. If you just only care about music, I think they've been doing an amazing job. Like, you know what I mean? Of course, the Yachty brought his crew up there. And if you didn't know about them then, after he brought them on tour and you start seeing them develop more, everybody kept going back to that freestyle. Drake and Central C, they clearly had a freestyle that even took to DSPs. It's been kind of really popping. Also, I gotta give him credit. Because on the radar, there's a lot of freestyle things nowadays. Ones where the mic just dropped down in front of you and you're out in the middle of nowhere or whatever and you're just rapping. He's made it where artists respect his brand and platform. By the way, I got to shout out to Fabio. Fabio murdered his shit too. People, you could tell they're taking his shit serious. They're almost looking at what he got going on with On the Radar, like BT Rap City, like the freestyle. If you guys know anything about hip hop, BT, Rap City, with Tigger, like, people used to really take that shit serious because they knew that shit was going to live forever. And I could see people writing custom verses and really wanting to put their best foot forward. So him being on here, I like this. I'm going to tell you why. Because again, and off top, if we're talking about platforms versus personality, and this is where I have to give my criteria if I'm going to give comments on the list. So before you hear any comments on this list, let me tell you how I think of the space. I think we have media personalities and then we have media platforms. And a lot of times, some people might have a great media platform, but them as a personality isn't the thing that, is the most viable in the space at the time. Let me give an example. For example, I do believe when it comes to, like, for example, Say Cheese. I like Sean Cotton. But Sean Cotton, I do believe the stronger point of what he got going on is what he's curated with his platform. Say Cheese, amazing platform. I'm going to be honest with you. And it's just mutual respect for me and Sean. I'd raise hell if there was a hip-hop platform list and Sean Cotton not top. Well, Say Cheese, and Sean Cotton owns it, was not top 10. Like, come on. We got to make this shit make some sense. You know what I mean? Like, the guy's been really doing his thing. But now if we're talking about personality, I understand they might not give him the nod, even though, by the way, I want to say as well, I think Sean should be on the list, which I don't know if he is. I'm just looking for the first time. Okay, so I look at On the Radar as a platform. I look at Gabe P as the personality. So yes, On the Radar popping. Gabe P, how influential to that is he? And by the way, let me give you my quintessential determinant factor for personality. Actually, no, I'll get there. All right, so he's number 25. All right, cool. Arshawn Jaweed. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never heard of this nigga until I see this, okay? And this is where I think, I've been really campaigning to say, I wish we could just do platforms and then personalities. Because with all due respect, I don't know him as a personality like that. I do know about Kids Takeover. You get what I'm saying? Like, is he like the main person on Kids Takeover or am I tripping? Let me see. Yeah, Kids. Yeah, so like I think Kids Takeover is a really viable platform, but I don't know. Like, here's my thing about a personality. If I don't know none of your hip hop opinions, I can't just be like, oh great. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Kids Takeover, I think it should be on the list for platforms, 100%. That's why I keep saying, even with the BET Awards, let's have two categories: one for personalities, one for platforms. Because there's certain type of like personalities who they might just bounce from platform to platform, but their takes, their effect or opinion on hip hop actually is what make them viable. And then there's certain platforms that they have platformed so much hip hop that they're a factor. That's what I think Kids Takeover is. Okay. All right. Jason Lee. Okay. This was interesting. With all due respect, I love Jason Lee. You know what I mean? Pause. I know he's gay. That's my guy though. Still, don't play with him. Anyway, I think Jason Lee is just a power player in media. Hip hop, I don't know if I could really say he's like, and And by the way, I don't want this to sound like I'm just criticizing everybody, right? But I'm also like, you know, I'm scrutinizing the whole list too. You know, his stuff is a lot more like shade roomish, but I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the stuff they cover kind of shapes and mold, especially female hip hop, and female hip hop has been on the uptick in the last year. Like there's a lot of things that has shaped always, you know, Cardi B and Nicki and Meg and whatever the case is, that has originated from um Hollywood Unlocked and with Jason Lee, obviously. And I've even gone to them for that. Other stuff, I can't say. I mean, again, Hollywood Unlocked and Jason Lee, definitely in the power media list in black culture. When I think of hip hop, where I'm basing it around the music primarily, not as sure. Okay? Whoa! Adam 22 is at 22. Wow. That's kind of interesting. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Adam is gonna give a fuck because, you know, at this point he has to realize he's white, and I don't think that he's cared that much. Once you don't care that much about some of the cultural things, you can't care about accolades that the culture will give. You get what I'm saying? I think he's about the money, right? So I personally believe, supposedly last year he was 19. They put him at 22 now. I think they use a lot of things against him that he probably does to make money. Let's say one, porn. They use it against him. Bro, some of your fame is because you're doing porn. Some of your biggest highlights in the last year is because your wife got penetrated by another man. That's not hip hop. It was noteworthy, but it's not hip hop. I think they use it against him rather than only looking at his hip hop. And by the way, this might be to some of his fault too. Some of the things, because I think Adam does a lot in terms of interviewing hip hop artists and a lot with hip hop, but because some of his bigger moves end up being porn or some other stuff, it overshadows the hip hop aspects of what he does. Because I'm going to be honest with you, whether you want to call it culture vulture or not, when it comes to like some of these smaller rappers or like rappers from Chicago and other people, Adam is still top 5 in platforming the most upcoming rappers, period. Definitely. And he's not just outside of the conversation. He's sitting with these niggas and interviewing them. So I think they're using things against him. And it's probably just because he's involved in a lot more other things that they're probably just saying, you know, it's kind of like the Jason Lee ranking. Like, you know, Jason Lee's a top 10 power media person overall, which I think Adam is too. But if we're talking about hip hop, they're like, well, yeah, you're lit, but not necessarily for your hip hop. And this is where I get to like the criteria. If I'm thinking about a media hip hop list, if I was on this list to vote or on the committee to vote, the first thing when determining my list, I'm going to say this. Does a opinion about hip hop or music from you matter? That is a main thing. I think the Drake and Kendrick thing was one of the things that showed. There were certain people didn't give a fuck about what they said. There were certain people did. That's a big indicator of how the ranking, in my opinion, should be when it comes to media personality within hip hop. Right? So I think they're looking at Adam like, yeah, we don't really, you know what I mean? A lot of his notable, you know, moments, which by the way, I could tell they're not that researched on Adam. He just did the Kodak Black interview like 3 days. They put it as his most memorable moment in the past year. That's crazy. That's kind of fucking crazy. You know what I mean? And then they put the Fulio interview. You can tell they just put anything. Like, bruh, they put the Fulio interview just because Fulio died. Like, they probably just seen in their search. Oh, that's no. No. Like, Adam has been doing really notable things. It's just that he has other things that are a little bit, you know, more popular. Now, Van Lathan. Van's my man. I don't know what the fuck this was about. It's like, with all due respect, it's no way you put Van Lathan. Van Lathan is more into politics. He does say and expound hip hop opinions, cultural opinions, but ain't no way you got Adam 22 and Van Lathan 21. Come on, bro. Even if you think that everything Adam says is trolling or a bunch of bullshit, come on, bro. Come on. Like, come on, right? Oh, my boy Trap Lord Ross, he's 20. I think Trap Lord Ross deserves this. Not even gonna lie to you. Maybe even deserves to be a little bit higher. I'm gonna tell you why. Trap Lord Ross, through his research and through how thorough he is, with a lot of, there's a lot of people doing these documentarian type, pieces that are really popular on YouTube now. Trap Lord Ross, not only has he set up what he got going on as like a fucking movie, like he's the only nigga dropping shit for 6 hours or 3 hours and we'll watch the whole thing. But if we're talking about a personality or someone who has impact, not saying that we weren't already saying the King Von thing, but everybody reacted to the King Von, is he a serial killer question, because of him. Again, not saying he's the first person to say it, but he made it a thing where every Chicago rapper that went to an interview had to answer that question. Yo, do you think King Von was a serial killer? That's where I'm going to say there's a lot of impact. A huge amount of impact, right? I think he mentioned also, or he categorized even the YoungBoy situation. And I think YoungBoy kind of like indirectly kind of like almost responded to it as well. So Trap Lord Ross, I'm going to be honest with you, definitely deserves to be on this list, if not a little bit higher. Okay? And by the way, I got to salute to my man Trap Lord Ross. I think in the last year, he's done a good job. I've always said this. Let me tell all y'all YouTubers this. You want to get good content, but at a certain point, you're going to have to cross a bridge. Here's the bridge I'm going to tell you, because I was there too. I was there probably like 2016. Yeah, you're really lit on YouTube, but you got to start putting your face out there. You got to cross over. And with that is going to do other people's platforms, get out of your comfort zone. And Trap Lord Ross, even though he lives in the UK, the nigga's shit. He did my platform like twice or 3 times now. Like I saw him in Miami, he came to my headquarters. He's in LA. He's moving around, and he's definitely shaping how people kind of see a lot of these contemporary stories. And I'm going to be honest with you, what he's doing right now is going to be invaluable research that I guarantee in 10 years, a Hulu, a Netflix, or some other bigger entity, when they realize the plethora of not only information but entertainment, or let's just translate to dollars, that they could get from doing a hip-hop documentary, they're either going to try to get him or they're going to use a lot of his information, right? He's the person who I believe has done, like when Vice did it, like he does it even better than Vice, truth be told. Okay, so that's 20. Nadeska Alexis. Now, Nadeska is my sister. I love Nadeska. You won't ever hear me say nothing negative about her, so don't you even hope. She's ranked 19. She actually went up a spot. And one of the things I want to say, again, I'm biased, so it's cool. Nadeska has her own show on Apple. She's very influential with a lot of the acts that even passed through that building were Apple Music, let's be specific. And honestly, I think more than, she's not the person I would probably be like, I want the hot take from necessarily. But when it comes to impact, putting people on, championing, and also having some really good nuance, I'm telling you, I could never say nothing bad about Nadeska. I would have never done Everyday Struggle without Nadeska. Like Nadeska was the rock. Nadeska, I love you. You deserve it. Nadeska, every year you should be on this list. All right? And that's just me. I think I'm speaking truthfully, but I'm also super biased, so fuck y'all. All right. Sway. It's almost, I feel like it's blasphemy for me to even rank Sway and Sway's year. A guy who's been in hip hop for like 20 to 30 years. And when I mean been in hip hop, I remember going to high school listening to Sway, and Sway was just the biggest figure on earth. I remember like when I'm really getting into shit and I'm trying to find old Sway interviews, some of them old Pac interviews with no video, just audio. It's hard for me to be like, yo, you know what I mean? Sway's gonna be on this list somewhere. I think the only thing that matters is it like a year where he gets like a Kanye interview? Like, obviously, if remember when that year when it was like, yo, you ain't got the answer, Sway. Like that, you got to put him top 10. But other than that, him being on this list, I don't care if he's 18 or 25, it's Sway. It's Sway Calloway, someone who I've tried to take notes from. Like, even when I do my podcast, I try to do illustrious intros. One of them is because of Sway. Sway's just amazing, all right? Angela Yee. Angela Yee, if you don't know, formerly of the Breakfast Club. Now she has Way Up with Angela Yee and also a lip service. Last year, she was ranked 14. She fell 3 spots. One thing I got to give Angela Yee a lot of credit for is that, you know, she still has that demeanor of maybe not necessarily an Angie in terms of making people feel comfortable, but she'll get some of these tough ass niggas to talk about them eating ass. You know what I mean? She'll get them to a comfort zone that only a woman could do. And I think she's, you know, a lot of people thought she was going to disappear. And actually, I had no idea what to think after she left the Breakfast Club, but I think she's kind of held on. Now, again, I also have to tell y'all and premise everything I'm saying that some of y'all might be looking on a digital aspect. Like, oh, well, we don't see this going viral or we don't see this. But she's still pretty relevant in the space. So, you know, salute to Angela Yee. Definitely still doing her thing. Give me 1 second. Give me. What the fuck? I'm reading some of y'all comments. Look at some of y'all talking about Gucci Man. I said Gucci Man. Let me stop. Okay, all right. So now we're at 16 Big Boy. Big Boy's like Sway. Again, I mean, he did have the Mustard interview recently. Oh wait, was he on stage at the Pop Out show? And he had the Kanye interview. Yeah, he did have the Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign interview, which, you know, Kanye dropped the Vultures album, so that's actually dope. Again, I don't really care, or I won't judge like somebody like Big Boy, because these people, and even Angie Martinez, Angie's at 15. To be honest, I got to say, Angie's consistently did her thing, and she's the most relatable person. She's still the Oprah of hip hop media in the aspect of, once you're a rapper that is lit on the blogs, like the bitches like you, but now you want to cross over to that conversation of growth, the conversation that maybe somebody in their 30s, say you're a 20-year-old rapper, you want to get a different audience. You want people who in their 30s and 40s and 50s to fuck with you. You want to go sit down with Angie. She's like almost like an auntie, like a mom type vibe. She's not invasive. She's so relatable. She's kind of like the Oprah of this shit, if you ask me. You get what I'm saying? Bootleg Kev. Shout out to Bootleg Kev. I'm going to be honest with you. I think last year he wasn't even ranked. But I think he's been going hard for his content. He went up to Gravedigger Mountain, did some shit with Young Boy. He's been having a good amount of moments where, you know, for better or for worse, actually not even for better or for worse, I think he has a really good grasp of hip-hop. And yeah, I've seen too many moments that has happened on this platform and happened with him to say he shouldn't be on this list. So 14, I actually agree. What the fuck? Rory and Mealy Mo. All right, no, I mean, I should let that beef go. Nah, I can't let it go. I can't let it go. All right, Rory and Millie Mo. They're ranked 13. And I'm going to be honest with you. This right here is definitely a OVO stimulus package. And I'm going to be honest, like, to keep it real, These two niggas I told y'all most famously, I put these niggas in a bunk bed casket, and I believe that. And I still do. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And let me be very fair and just blunt about this shit we do in terms of hip-hop commentary and whatever. You know I never like these niggas, especially when they start having such adverse opinions about me. It's because they were niggas that lacked an opinion. They were niggas who lacked passion. So anytime I had an opinion, they were judgmental. Because these were, well, I could see it this way and I could see it that way. Listen, this is media personality land. Pick a side, have an opinion. We don't need the nigga to be like, oh, well, it's half full, half empty type of niggas. So when they were talking, I had to get them the fuck out of here quickly. What I've realized is that this Drake and Kendrick battle, especially, which, by the way, I ain't gonna lie, this detergent hiding motherfucker, Maul, a fire lit under him. I think it's probably because Drake was hitting him, like, yo, whatever. But, like, it's the first time I've seen them passionate. And it just kind of shows. Because if anybody knows these two bozos right here, they were the niggas who were always, anytime they used to judge me, they used to try to come across as, nah, we too cool for that. Nah, we're cool. That's why Joe Budden fired them. They were too cool for school. And except in the last, I want to say about like 4 to 5 months, they finally start realizing, hey, maybe sometimes you're not going to look cool. Maybe sometimes you just have to live on your passions or whatever you actually think. Let it all hang out there. And actually, I'm taking some credit for it. And I know Drake taking some credit for them niggas being on the list. Because these niggas would have been washed up. And last year they weren't ranked. And this year they are. So again, you know, I hate to give niggas secret sauce when I don't particularly like him. But let's see how these niggas fare after the Drake thing. Because, again, if you are not passionate about nothing, nobody gives a fuck about what you're saying. Like, what y'all know with me, y'all have seen me cry, laugh, fall asleep. Y'all have seen extreme emotions from me, and it's not me doing bullshit. I remember one time I fell asleep to some Tory Lanez shit. That's when I got into it with a Rory nigga, and he was like, I'm faking it. No, motherfucker. I'm not getting online to give my opinion to be cool. I don't want to be cool. I just want to be me. There's sometimes people who really like me who'll be like, yo, you was on some bozo shit. I don't agree with that take. And I'm like, well, that's really what I think. It's okay. You know, so I always thought these guys were just going to fizzle away because without a actual opinion or without passion, nobody cares. But somehow the Drake thing lit a passion under them. We'll see. Them being 13, I'm not sure I put them over Bootleg Kev. I would have put them niggas at, I don't even sure I'm putting them over Traplo Ross. I'd probably put them niggas like closer to 25. I'm going to keep it a bean. But all right, they're on the list. Fuck it. Yachty and Mitch. What the fuck? That's interesting. You know, Yachty's turned into like a personality of sorts. And that has showcased a different side of him. Of course, he had the J. Cole interview, which was amazing. He was pretty much I know y'all called me the spokesperson for Drake, but nah, he was the spokesperson for like all the dogs and, you know, her loss and you know, yeah, I could definitely see. Yeah, Yachty definitely made some waves as a personality this year. But Yachty's always, to me, been more than a rapper. The same shit, you know, so if I'm Yachty, it got to be satisfying. It has to be satisfying, right? That currently, he's getting praised for everything they criticized him for. I remember me and Yachty talking privately, nothing too invasive, so I could share it. When he said, you know why they get mad at me and they hate me more than they hate everybody else on that 2016 freshman list? He said, Uzi's not going to answer those questions. He's not going to respond to that publicly. 21 ain't going to do it. But me, I'm not going to duck the conversation. I'm going to go answer that head on. But then they make me the poster child for, this is the trash guy who blah, blah. And he's like, I'm just not going to sit on my opinion and not give it. So he was crucified for that back then. As time went on, not only have people realized Yachty's like an amazing genius when it comes to music, he helped out Drake, right? People have realized, damn, he actually has some opinions about not only culture, but even the conversation with him and J. Cole. you saw that Yachty was pretty much a student of the game, right? And if we're talking about growth, that is such a tremendous growth for Yachty, who, when we saw him start, like with all due respect to Yachty, when we looked at the 2016 freshman list, if everybody had to just, they say, don't judge a book by cover. Let's say we were judging that cover by the cover. We would have voted Yachty as the dumbest nigga on that list. He looked dumb. Like, that nigga looked like an airhead. What he's proven since then, he wasn't Trinidad James. And I'm not saying Trinidad James is dumb, but Trinidad James, for a minute, until he got, I want to say, relevant, he became a caricature of his own self. Now, Yachty had the gold grills in, and he had the red hair. And if Yachty was saying, I got to stay in this character for my whole career, he would have been out of here. You know what he did? He grew. You don't even see him really as much or ever with even red hair or them beads, or you don't see him with the fucking, like, he just has his regular teeth, or not regular teeth. He got his little veneers in. You know what I mean? He's changed up his look for a more mature look, which shows that he had to go through the process of ditching the character that could be a caricature of yourself. And he became someone who was growing. So salute to him. All right, we're getting the thick of things, people. 11, Nori. This is interesting to me. So Nori being at 11 is a little bit shocking, but I get it. But I'm also wondering what's going on. Now, when we get to the Nori, who else? Gillian Wallow and Joe Budden conversation. Those guys always had the best podcast. But I feel like last year and the year before, especially, Drink Champs, I thought it was like pretty much number one in terms of podcasting and shit, definitely one of the big platforms to be on. I can't tell if maybe Drink Champs has lost his luster. And by the way, I'm saying this respectfully. I love my media partners. I'm never trying to shit on, especially the guys who I know they don't shit on me. But I'm speaking of, like, I remember, I think they dropped on Sunday. Niggas used to be like ready to, or maybe that's the cause of what happens indubitably when you have a interview platform. When you have an interview platform, it might just revolve around who you interview. And even though I think anytime I've seen Nori away from that platform, or Nori's just talking, Nori even came on, I did an episode of Everyday Struggle with him back in the day. Nori is extremely smart. He's also opinionated. He's funny. He's an entertaining guy when it comes to hip hop takes, but he is an interviewer when it comes to Drink Champs. And maybe didn't have because look, they're saying the most memorable interviews or moments was Benzino and Luda. I guess that won't do it, right? But I'm kind of shocked that he fell out of the top 10. Because pretty much he was definitely top 5, and his podcast, I still believe his podcast is a top 5 podcast, but Nori is the life and soul of that podcast. Anyway, let's keep it going. By the way, Nori, I love you. Those are no shots. Nardwar. Okay. Now, Nardwar is someone I can't even really, like, try to figure out or try to, like, is he, no matter where they put Nardwar, he is another one of the legacy people on this list. You just got to give him his credit. Nardwar, you're amazing. Nardwar, you're one of the reasons a lot of people do what they do. You're one of the original people that if I'm going to think about awkward style interviews, you are that. You're one of the, actually not one of the, you are the most researched person when it comes to every hip hop artist that you interview. It's still like beyond bounds and leaps. You're the guy. So you being 10, despite, the Tyler Creator interview did do good. Obviously the Ice Spice joined 2. I think, did he catch Uzi in the last year, or was that tripping? It still doesn't matter, or was it Cardi? I can't remember. Anyway, regardless of that, Nardwar is Nardwar. I'm not going to judge his position. Gillian Wallow. I was also surprised by this too. Gillian Wallow, I still think first of all, Gillian Wallow, I could watch them on a reality show. I want to watch Gilly and Wallo on a reality show. Literally. I watch their stories and their posts like it's a reality show. Two of the most hilarious people. I like their dynamic. It's one of those things, you know, when you see like a duo and it makes you feel good? It makes you feel good watching these two interact. When they joke on each other, when they clown each other, when they wrestle, when they start, like, it's just good. They also put artists in a really good place. Now, the only thing I would say about why I could even justify, if I'm trying to justify this list, them being ranked 4 last year and this year being 9th, I'm wondering if hip hop or was it a down year for hip hop podcasts? And I'm gonna connect it to the Drink Champs thing. Was it a down year for hip hop podcasts who, by and large, rely on interviews, or are people looking at podcasts a little bit different? And I'm gonna get to like some of the late. Well, we're gonna get into 8-1, but I still think Gilly and Wallo have a top 3 podcast that is in hip hop. So how could their power ranking fall if they still are top 3 in terms of a podcast? I still think that if we're talking about hip hop podcasts respectfully, and I don't even think I do even off the record enough to really qualify in that conversation anyway right now. But I still think it's Joe, Drink Champs, and Gilly and Wallo. Like, what, you know, with all due respect to Matt Hoffman, there's some other podcasts, and they're still top 3. But why would they drop? I'm almost wondering if maybe that medium is becoming less it had 2 hot years, and then people are kind of going to it less, or maybe the big interviews didn't go there this year. I don't know. All right, love Gilly and Wallo though. 2 guys who they show a lot of artist love. Also, I still think that they should be ranked higher. Gilly had Gilly Fest. They've expanded way beyond a podcast, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Of anybody on this list, if we look at real world activation and how they've I think they even did like a boxing event or something like that. These guys have really activated their audience, and them being a media personality, we have to think about that too, right? It's not about just who has talking points, right? Like, yeah, maybe they're not giving the hot takes, but their impact is much more vast, if you ask me, right? So, salute to Gideon Wallo, $1 million worth of game. Anthony Fantano. Now, y'all know I don't like this fuck nigga, so I'm not even gonna sit here. I can't even lie nowadays, right? I don't even like this fuck nigga, bro. Oh man, I don't even like this fuck nigga, so I can't even say. But I think he was ranked too high. I'm gonna keep it a beam with you. Like, I don't think he deserved to be number. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest with you. But again, I'm not a guy who looks to reviewers. Nah, fuck that. Let me just keep it being. Yo, if y'all gonna put Fantano on this list, gang, I would have took this bum ass nigga out completely. Facts. I'd take this bum ass nigga off the list completely. And you know who I put? If we're going in that lane of, people who react or review music, I'm putting Zeus and I'm putting Zeus and Belu. Zeus, I'm sorry. Y'all can get mad all y'all want. Zeus and Belu, I'm putting right here, bro. Yo, Zeus and Belu just got me back into watching niggas to react to music videos. I even hit them about it. I was like, bro, I can't remember what song they reacted to, and I'm dying laughing. But it feels like, they're so relatable, so cultural. I'm sorry. I'm going with Zeus and Belu, bro. I'm sorry. I don't care. Okay? And here's the thing, and even though I kind of am hating on this fuck nigga right now because I don't like him because he talks shit about me, but I'll say, bro, I don't think he aims to be like a hip hop guy. I think he reviews all music. Now, if we're talking about platforms, yeah, he'd be on a platform list, but on a hip hop list, I don't know one hip hop opinion this fuck nigga got other than him saying that, just saying everything Drake did is bad. Drake got a son, that's bad. Drake is alive. That's bad. Like, that's the only thing I know this nigga says. I don't know anything else this nigga said in terms of hip-hop opinions the last year. But maybe I'm not tuned in, so I'm not going to be mad. Ebro. It's another fuck nigga. I don't know. I'm playing. Yo, Chai, am I full of hate? Ebro being up here on as number 7. Man, I don't know one thing Ebro has done. Yo, I feel like Ebro just got this position because of his power in the game. I keep telling you, Ebro is the most powerful media personality in the game. Ebro runs Apple Music. So if Ebro wants to shut your shit down to Apple Music, he could playlist your shit at Apple. He's a global head of hip-hop at Apple Music. I don't think he should qualify for this list. To keep it real, every time I've listened to Ebro, he sounds out of touch, sounds like he's lost in the 90s, and clearly has zero idea what's going on currently and is not in the know. I'm sorry, when I'm listening to a nigga like that, basically just spew out shit that like he think he's on Hot 97 in 2004, I'm usually like, God damn, who watches this shit? But there's probably an audience. It's probably the 35 plus crowd. You get what I'm saying? And yeah, I mean, other than that, like, put like this. It says a Gunna interview. I didn't even know he did a Gunna interview. Or maybe I watched it.
What's up?
It's the first time I've seen this. You get what I'm saying? Nigga, it's no way. Yo, if you in the top 10 and you got a Gunna interview and we all want to see Gunna, nigga, if Gillian Wallow got a Gunna interview, nigga, we'd be watching this shit like it was going out of style. Nigga, if we had Gunna on Drink Champs, it would be going crazy. Nigga, I don't know what the fuck this nigga's talking about. Like, again, you know, I will give Ebro this. He does have strong opinions. 100% strong opinions on hip-hop. Whether I think they're outdated or not, he does, like, I give him that credit. He's not a play the middle type of person. So maybe actually he does deserve, I guess he does deserve to be on it. I guess I'm critical of the top 10 because it's like, bro, like, are you making waves out here or what? But does he have strong hip-hop opinions? He does. He definitely does. Okay. That makes a little bit of hate with a little bit of, you know what I mean? DJ Vlad. Clap it up for Vlad, man. Now, I'm going to take slight credit for Vlad being on here. Yes. Hold on. Let me explain. I think, first of all, Vlad is the OG of new media. OG. Clap it up, Vlad's the OG of new media. He set the path. He's also showed love to everybody. Him being on this ranking list, though, is not only about his platform. I think what Vlad learned from watching people like me, and even some people he interviews, and also see how other media outlets, like, for example, even Adam 22 with No Jumper, I think Vlad realized that, and also probably watching his own audience, there was a shift when Vlad realized that he had to get more involved with his interviews. If you listen to a Vlad TV interview now, from 8 years ago, Vlad tells more stories. He interrupts his guests. It's a dual conversation. It's not just I'm asking you questions and you say whatever, then next question. Vlad is cracking jokes. That's kind of what a personality does, right? He's giving his opinion. Oh, I thought this is this. He's giving his hot takes. Granted, most on his platform, but he goes to other people's platform. He goes to mine. He's been moving around. So I think that's what's put Vlad up here because, again, remember, this is not a platform award. This is a personality award. Like, we all know certain things that Vlad thinks. Like, we all know that Vlad, you know what I mean, got into it with Aiden Ross, that him and NLE Chopper had some issues. We all know that what he thought about Drake and DJ Khaled not saying something about the Palestine Israel type of situation. Like, he's spoken up shit. Like, he's been more vocal and more opinionated, which I believe that's part of being a personality. Okay? So, congrats to Vlad. Elliot Wilson gets to number 5. Okay. Elliot Wilson actually got an upgrade. I think Elliot Wilson didn't like his ranking last year. They gave him number 8, and that nigga was tight. I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe through pure and petty annoyance, Elliot he's been going hard, man, in the last year. You know, I think there was a battery put in his back by Drake saying that he was doing run and gun interviews at motherfucking Rolling Loud. And also a lot of people questioning him, saying, hey, I don't know how old he is, but I think maybe 50 or over 50. They'd be like, listen, a 50-year-old guy, you don't really fit in when you're talking about hip hop because it's a young man thing. And I'm going to be honest with you, he's done an amazing job of expounding his opinions, whether it's through Twitter, Instagram, one of his shows, or even going on other people's shows and kind of doing his thing. You know what I mean? Also, one of the things you can't knock Elliot about, he has that Rolodex of motherfucking contacts and people who just know him that he's going to have the leg up. Like, for example, a Tyler, the Creator interview. Like, shit. Nigga, I've been trying to get a Tyler, the Creator interview. Yo, Tyler, the Creator, you fake as hell. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yo, Tyler, the Creator went on Hot 97 and was just like, yo, like he was saying something. He said, yo, he basically said he felt a way when people like, you know, like Akademiks didn't involve in him certain conversations. So I was like, oh shit, the nigga watches me. Nigga, I hit that nigga up asking for an interview, left on red. You feel what I'm saying? Yo, but anyway, you know, I don't have a relationship with him like that, you know. But Elliot clearly does, and I think Elliot has done a great job of not being just seen as legacy, which a lot of people would want to put him in. Like, yo, you an OG, you a legacy. He's been one of them people like, yo, I still want to compete. And if that's the case, he's doing what's needed to be done to compete, and I got to give him credit. So, salute to my boy. Charlamagne the God. Y'all all know Charlamagne the God, you know, again, if we're talking about hip-hop media, you can say whatever. I still think in the grand scheme of things, Charlamagne is pretty much the top guy when it comes to black media, period. You know, he's focused on some things that might be politics, mental health, all that type of stuff. But Charlamagne is always putting up numbers and doing his thing. And he gonna find a way how to age gracefully rather than still covering Julio Fulio. And I think that's the dope thing about him. The platform of Breakfast Club he's still carrying on his back. It's still a viable platform after like it's approaching like 15 years, goddammit. So I can't even knock it. Also, one of the things I'm kind of impressed by him, I thought he was just done with hip hop. He's been giving a lot more hip hop opinions recently, and dare I say, I've seen glimpses of the old Charlamagne at times, because we all know Charlamagne went woke at a point. Like, he stopped talking about real shit or stopped saying real like stuff that would be funny but edgy, because he's not trying to get canceled and the other stuff kind of came up. So he kind of fell back on everything. You know what I mean? He started being super PC, but nah, he been testing the waters again. One of the reasons I'm going to give some of his credit to Andrew Schultz. He's seen how Andrew Schultz been letting it hang, been letting his nuts hang, pause. And Andrew Schultz has been succeeding. He's selling out arenas, and he's been on Netflix and all these other things that Charlamagne's realizing, oh, I don't have to abandon it. Because I think Charlamagne was trying to become Leonard McKelvey. That's his real name. He was trying to ditch the persona of Charlamagne the God and become Leonard McKelvey in the case of, let me not do hot takes no more. You know, again, you know, he's always talked about shock jock, but having a controversial take or saying funny jokes don't make you a shock jock to me. You know what I mean? A shock jock is just someone who's just saying shit like clickbait and shit to me. Like, Charlamagne used to be just fucking hilarious. These days, it feels like every time he's about to be funny, or not these days, but like about a year ago, it felt like every time it was about to be funny, he shut it down to make sure he didn't get canceled. But these days, I'm seeing him kind of opening that bag again, which I think is necessary. So, him being number 4, I think that's cool as well. Number 3, Kai Cenat. Shout out to my boy Kai Cenat, man. Evaluating Kai Cenat's ranking is like really hard to do. And I'm telling you this right now. I haven't seen my name yet. I don't know where I'm at on the list. But me and Joe, which I don't think I hit Joe about this yet. I'm telling him, like, yo, listen, we love Kai. Like, come on, like, nobody's hating on Kai. But, bruh, the goal gotta be for next year, we make sure Kai doesn't get number 1. Because this nigga Kai, number 1, the biggest platform overall. Biggest platform. Like, the guy has 200,000 people just watching him on a regular. The nigga does 24-hour streams where he's sleeping and there's 80,000 people watching him. The guy is just like, he's doing something actually amazing soon. He's about to throw a festival. I think he could pull 100,000 people to pay for a festival in any major city. Not any major city, like New York, LA, Miami, I think, or Atlanta. I think he could do that, right? He's about to have a festival with rappers. Like, this is how massive of an audience he is. Now, here's the thing. And if you want to knock whatever he has going on, well, he's not necessarily all hip hop. He loves hip hop, but he's not under the hip hop umbrella, as in that's the main thing what he's doing. He's just a regular kid that loves hip hop. So his influence on the list comes from his love of hip hop, but he's not necessarily like he lights up a stream that says, let's do hip hop. However, he's had some of the biggest moments. I mean, Nicki Minaj, shit, Drake hitting him up, 21 Savage, Offset doing a 24-hour stream, Kevin Hart, Drewski. These are all people who are very relevant to the conversation. Ice Spice, Tyler. Yo, he's had so many moments that it's kind of crazy that you can't even quantify how much impact his platform has had on those artists, but has had on hip hop. Like, if we're talking about clips, I think he might have had the most hip hop clips. And he's not only trying to do hip hop, but it's just of sheer popularity. And basically, he's almost like he's a nightly show. He's a nightly show. He's a nightly show for people under 25. He's a nightly show for them. So whether he hangs with a comedian, an actor, an athlete, or a rapper, it's like the nightly show. It's like Jimmy Fallon. It's like Jimmy Kimmel, right? But if he's doing it enough, like the moment he made with Nicki was fucking huge, right? So again, I could never dispute why his place on the list. And to be honest, even this year, if he was number one, I couldn't even be mad. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. Now, the only real knock, if I was going to give a knock, I think he has an amazing hip hop platform, even though I don't think it's primarily hip hop, but hip hop does live there, or hip hop is on there frequently. As a personality, we do know he's hilarious. We do know he's entertaining. I don't know if people go to Kai for his opinion. And I think that's the only knock he could get. Like, I don't even think he's even said, or people haven't really put out there, like, who he thought won the battle, or he'd be like, he hasn't made, like, he plays the 50 a little bit. Like, he's not gonna, be too gun-ho on like hot takes, right? Then we get to number 2. The man, the myth, the one they call the Podfather. He was formerly number 1 last year. He's featured now mostly on the Joe Budden podcast. And I think without a doubt, when this was said like about last year and the year before, I'm going to be honest with you. One thing we got to give this guy a lot of credit for, a lot of kudos. This nigga might be the oracle, or he might have like some type of glass ball that he can see the future, because he's definitely right a lot. Whether it's with his hip hop takes, his takes on business, his takes on the industry. Even if he says it in the moment, and he usually does say it in the moment, that it sounds utterly ridiculous. You're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? You wait some time. You wait a little bit more time. Then a little bit more. And then you'll realize, damn, this nigga was right. I don't think it's a conversation anymore. What's the best hip hop podcast? Maybe last year it was, maybe the year before more than last year. But this year, I'm going to be honest with you, especially 2024 is the most hip hop year. And what I mean by that is it's the year where we've discussed the most amount of hip hop. I haven't gone to nobody else's podcast but Joe Budden podcast to hear opinions about hip hop. That's a fact. He was also mentioned on the TaylorMade Freestyle by AI Tupac. Drake. So having now undisputedly the number one podcast in the game, his opinions is weighted, dissected. It interrupts the narrative. You have to realize Drake getting at him in my comment section was Drake realizing, yo, this motherfucker, by him saying this about my album, could set a narrative about my album that I need to address instantly. That shows the power of a voice. And a media personality, you got to have an opinion. You have to have a voice. People need to come to you to hear what you have to say. Invaluable amount of things you can learn from it, his podcast. Now, I had the pleasure of working with him. Joe ain't the best person to work with. I'll tell you this right now. He ain't the best person to work with. You work with him, sometimes you might think, maybe I should choke this nigga out. But he definitely does know content. He knows content. He knows how to produce. I've watched him become really good at that, especially since his last crew left, because he had to learn how to produce on the fly. And now I think he has a sustainable situation where he could plug and play anybody he wants. I don't think, and with all due respect to, of course, Ice-ish, Parks, like these are guys who, by the way, they do an amazing job at center. But I think Joe at this point now knows how to plug and play because he knows how to produce. I don't even have that skill yet because shit, when I try to do podcasts with other people, if they're not good at podcasting, it feel like I'm pulling teeth or it feel like I'm teaching somebody how to ride a bike. And I usually have a lot of patience, but that's a different skill to make sure people who might not be as good as you in a podcast sense don't fuck up the product or don't step on each other. And he does an amazing job with that. So anyway, Joe, he's exactly who we thought it was. Again, if he was number one, I would not have a problem with that as well. Someone who, y'all know when his pod drop, or if you one of his Patreon members or whatever, usually on a Saturday morning or on a Wednesday or whatever, he drops the other one. You'll have something that people are reacting to, and that there is the impact of it all. So congratulations to Joe. I'm glad, you are at least off the top two. And then we get finally to number one. And it's yours truly. I was a little bit surprised that I was number one. Not because I don't think I deserved it. But in life, what's always driven me is that whenever I thought I deserved it, I didn't get it. I've never gotten the validation ever in life that when I felt I worked hard enough, it came back. And I have resentment about that in many different places in my life. But I've also realized that resentment made me work hard. That resentment makes me knock out a 10, 12-hour stream like it's nothing. That resentment makes it when I know they're going to go meet up once a week and the rest of the time they're going to be at bars, this and third. They're just having a good old time. I say, I'm going to go create content. Fuck vacations. I haven't been on a vacation in 2 years. That makes me work hard. So I'm not one who, even though I'll be salty at times, but not being number one or just being slighted, it tells me to work harder. And then I see this honor bestowed upon me that, you're number one. Not to get too sappy and not to make this a long story, I know this is not a speech, but when I was just starting out, and I had like a love affair with hip hop, I still do. It's passion that makes me cover and do what I do. It's not the ancillary things. I don't even get to enjoy them. I live in a nice house, but I don't get to enjoy them because I'm constantly working. I still feel like I haven't got to where I want to get to. And joy for me comes in not being on a beach somewhere. Doesn't even come in the sense of being with, I don't know, a significant other. A lot of it comes from doing what I do. I keep telling you I live it. I dream every night about something that's happening within the culture or what I'm working for. This is kind of what my life is all centered around, for good and for bad. You know what I mean? It's what makes me happy. I don't know if it's what makes everyone else happy. And people have told me eventually it'll change. But I do want to say this. I remember, I think the year was like 2014. I still had a regular job. And I was starting to make these videos, and they were kind of doing decent, doing good. And I remember driving on the New Jersey Turnpike. And I remember looking up, and I ain't gonna lie, man, iHeartMedia was going crazy with the promotions for the Breakfast Club. And I remember seeing DJ Envy, Charlamagne the God, and Angela Yee. And every time I would pass it, I said, damn, how do I get to be there? I want to be the best. And for me, I had to make a lot of decisions and choices in my life. And essentially, when I say my life, I mean damn near whole career, because I treat my life like the career. I said, I don't know if I'll ever be number one, but I want to be in a conversation. And at that time, I was very far from the conversation, but how could I get there? And, for anyone who's a YouTuber, I hope you guys take this, what I'm saying, and use it as advice. Because I was never complacent with what most would have been complacent with. I kept remembering that billboard. If you're not top one, you're basically not mentioned at all. And if you ain't top one, and if you ain't the number one guy, rest should not be in your vocabulary. Sleep is for the weak. I always say this, you can never be mad at someone who gets more than you if you don't work hard as them. I've never thought I was the most talented person. I still stutter from time to time now, but I used to stutter more then. Maybe not like Flacco, but still. I worked on it tirelessly. I studied other people. I took little pieces of them, crafted my own style. Put a lot of diligence into research, running a platform, doing things. I remember walking into, one of the most important things I'll tell you is this. Let me go back to me meeting Joe Budden for the very first time. I'd covered Joe Budden, and I reported maybe some articles about him that wasn't that good. Joe had me blocked. And when they invited me to Complex, and this was also important thing in my, growth, was me doing something out of my comfort zone. And what was in my comfort zone was sitting behind the screen. Nobody could see my face. And just doing these videos, which I was getting paid for at that time. I was fine. Didn't have to do anything else. I could have stayed there, and I said, nah, I want to be number one. Complex calls. And I remember saying, nah, I'm doing good now. This is 2016, 2017. And I said, I don't need Complex. Like, really, I'm kind of doing a lot more numbers than Complex. And then something came, it was like a angel on my shoulder that says, don't be lazy. To be number one, you got to do something you've never done before, and you got to be uncomfortable. And at that time, if you will look back at me, in college, man, freshman year I was definitely in shape. Towards the end of college, I was maybe a little bit, beefier, but I wasn't fat. The years that I just sat in the house doing videos, didn't go out. Also, probably at the detriment of my health a little bit too, because I wasn't working out too, drinking too. I gained weight. And I was a little bit uncomfortable with myself. I'm like, I don't want to go on camera. But I remember that thing on the shoulder saying, if you want to be number one, you got to do something that you can't, that's make you feel uncomfortable. So I went into Complex. First day. And by the way, they had told me it was Joe Budden. I said, fuck. I could tell how this is going to go. This nigga is going to probably try to swing on me. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. to do something you've never done or accomplish something you've never done, you got to do something you've never done. And I went in there. And I never, at this point, anything I've gotten in life was based on pure and sheer hard work. But I never interpreted it as hard work. And I remember one of the questions, it was a guy named Noah, he asked me, because they were very intrigued, like this Akademiks guy. They said, yo, how many people do you hire to yo, you put out 7 videos a day, you have an Instagram page you're running, you do this, you're streaming. How many people work for you? I don't know if Joe will see this conversation, but I know he'll remember in that room. At that point, I was living with my girl. I had 0 employees. I ran a whole Instagram by myself. I slept 3 hours at a time. I would sleep 3 hours at night. I still kind of have that sleep schedule. 3 hours at night and about 3 hours midday. I had to be a 24-hour news network by myself. I had to parse through millions of tweets to get my info, whether it was for war in Chirac or exclusive shit, go through every DM, post on Instagram, write up scripts to do videos. It's a 24-hour job. And everybody, a company worth $300 million, were very intrigued because they thought I had a team of 10. They said, how many people work for you? I didn't want to seem like a peon. And I said to them, I got 4. It was nobody. It was just me. It was nobody. It was just me. Again, it goes back to what I'm saying. To me, hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. I've only known how to outwork people. I've only known how to, listen, our average podcast is 3 hours. We might end up doing 9 today. And then I probably got to come back tomorrow and do 6. It's now ingrained in me, right? So that happened then. Obviously, we know the history that followed. Me and Joe, we had an amazing show. And the person who deserves, or the people who deserve this accolade the most is you guys. You guys been rocking with me for so long. Like, incredibly, so long. So long. That I remember back when I started Twitch and I started streaming, I started streaming off of the philosophy of 300. I had 1 million subs, or about 1 million subs on my main page, and I said, I'd rather have 300 strong soldiers than 1 million fly-by-night fans. And that was my mentality. When I started streaming, I had 23 people watching the first stream. Then I had 30, and then I had 56. And for a while, we pretty much, maybe 100, 200. But this is over 10 years now. And my thought was, if you follow me from YouTube to another platform, to a stream that probably was shitty. Yeah, somebody I'll probably be like, yo, Ak, why don't you have, I got a better house, but still got pretty much the same camera. Don't do that much, even though I'm going to do some IRL stuff this year. Me trying to get 300 loyal supporters to watch me, because I wanted to find my 300, have now turned into us having, pretty much every time we stream, upwards of 15,000 people watching. That's amazing. That's 10 years of work, 10 years of dedication, 10 years of y'all rocking with me, believing in me. Y'all have heard the worst things about me. Listen, I know how I am, and I know sometimes I ain't shit. And this is why I do love y'all, and I say this accolade is for the chat. Because anytime I talk to even a peer, one of the things they say is that when my name comes up, they have to defend me, because people always be like, man, why you fuck with that nigga Akademiks? And I know if you watch me, and if I'm on your search history, or you would be like, oh shit, I gotta go watch Ak, you probably have gotten that in real life too. So I salute all of y'all, because that's exactly what really does matter. You all have supported me. It's allowed our platform to have a voice. And to complete that story of the billboard, I remember I said, I was saying, I want to be number one. How do I get up there? Thank God for the internet and the changing culture that, radio is still an amazing place, but it's not, I don't think it's a place you have to be or end up if you want to be number one. I think this is living proof. But as digital media and independent media platforms were increasing, and that was you guys, I noticed, I said, the shit I was chasing, I didn't have to go get a billboard. I didn't have to go be on a billboard on the highway. I didn't have to go be in a radio station in one of the biggest markets or the biggest buildings in Times Square in the world. All I needed to do was to sit wherever the fuck I was going to be at, give quality information, quality entertainment, give you guys all of me, whether the good or the bad, and hope that more people come and join our struggle. And I'm very happy to say I think we've done that. Humbly, I do believe as a platform, but as also a media personality, because trust me, I look at this not only as a crowning for me as a personality, it's for me as a platform. If you remember the story of Jay-Z, that's kind of what this was, especially for me. Remember Jay said labels wouldn't give him a deal, so he made his own label? I wanted to get on radio. I was like, shit, I don't know none of these niggas. I always told y'all the story of I'm hitting people up and I'm getting curved left and right. I almost lost my job because I was calling out of work when they were canceling on me. And I said, rather than chase their platform, let me build mine. So I'm very happy that the platform of Akademiks, and now, of course, the company, the Academy, and, of course, me, DJ Akademiks, I'm glad we at least got some acknowledgement. Won't make this much longer after that. I'm just happy to, thank you, Complex. And lastly, I was reflecting about how hard and how incessantly and how tirelessly I kept going trying to be here. And yes, we could talk about defining moments. Dirk interview, dope. Maybe 6ix9ine interview. My relationship with certain people, Young Boy and others. You could say, well, you were mentioned both on the Kendrick Lamar and Drake disses. But for anybody watching, you don't get those moments unless you did everything I said before. Those moments are once you already won the race. There's still people on Twitter saying, well, why did Drake drop it on? Why do they keep giving him the record? They're lost. You have to win the race already. Rappers ain't loyal. They're going to rock with who they feel is the most relevant, who's going to do the most impact. That's how it's always been. So you got to do the work. That'll come. And of course, I'm very thankful to both Drake and Kendrick Lamar. I'll tell you one thing Drake said. When Push-Ups first leaked, Push-Ups was posted in a Reddit that was dedicated to me. The conversation me and Drake had, I said, hey, is this real? Drake looked at it. It was in my Reddit. Drake said to me, hey, could you delete it off of there? It was the unmixed, unfinished version of Push-Ups. Now, for whatever reason, he thought I control my Reddit. I have no idea what goes on my Reddit. Like, that's just the Wild Wild West. So I said, I don't really control it, but I could probably hit somebody to make a request for them to try to get it down. And he said, nah, it's okay. He said, Ak, do me a favor. And this is a real conversation. He said, don't post about it. And I'm kind of looking at it like, well, people are going to post about it. He's like, Ak. And this is why I said the race was already won. For the people who would be like, why did I get this? And Drake says, Ak, you're the biggest. When you post about it, everybody knows. You're the biggest. If the rest of the narrative and the rest of the story doesn't make sense after that, the race wasn't won with the Kendrick Lamar thing. The platform was used because the race was already won. I'll go back to my ending. Anyway, again, after pursuing number one for so long, and whatever, I'll say this though. I've realized a new pressure, and I'm actually happy for this. I'm very happy for this. I thought, number one, I enjoyed the plight to get to this point. But in having 2 days before I even got on stream to reflect and to really gather my thoughts, I realized that, yeah, it's hard to get to and be number one. But it's a whole lot harder to stay number one. That's our new plight. Okay? So yeah, I've acknowledged that we've hit certain milestones in the last year, but we ain't trying to be the person who fell from top 1 to not mention at all, or from top 1 to top 10. It's kind of like the LeBron James shit. After, when you supposed to be the guy, when you win the first ring, we don't care about them playoff appearances no more. And we don't really care about oh yeah, he went to the second round. So again, it's pretty hard getting to number one, man, but I think it's going to be a whole lot harder trying to keep it. Joe, my guy, always love between me and you. You got one, I got one. Let's keep it going, man. As long as me and my guys one, number two, I think hip hop is in a good place. Never forget what we started with Everyday Struggle. We represented the conversation that needed to happen and the conversation that was at a juncture. We had people who were more traditionalists, people that came from a different era, who were confronted with people who were more sales focused, new era, new styles, new generation. That's where hip hop met in a crossroads, and it's grew beautifully from then. And for that, I am truly honored, and I'm very happy. All right. Okay, enough of my speech. I ain't gonna lie, I'm body these speeches, right? Let's get into some hip hop shit, man. Okay. Brother Fact. What were we gonna talk about today? Oh, we could talk about Eminem.